on my chest and tell them, slam the ego, slam the ego, slam the ego, slam the hey. Hit it up hard, hit it with a strike, from the national anthem to the bottom of the night. I'm in slam the ego, slam the ego, slam the ego, slam the hey. You already know what's up. What's that? Another home run. We should know the job ain't done till we hold that trophy up. Hey.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Talking Friars here on this Wednesday afternoon after the Padres sweep the Mets, who are one of the better teams in the National League, one of the better teams in baseball, who are making additions to get better before this deadline. Padres take all three games. And so you talk about the road trip not being as successful as we wanted it to, right? 5-5. Then they come back home and they're facing a really good team, and it's a tough test, and they ace that test. I mean, what matters is do they win the games, and they won all three of them. Darvish today, I thought this was the most encouraging thing coming out of today's game, was that he delivered a Darvish ace performance, going 7 innings, no runs, didn't walk anybody over those 7 innings, punched out 7 guys in 76 pitches. He could have went longer, but it's one of those where it's like he's just coming back, doesn't have a ton of starts under his belt. You have Jason Otto and Robert Suarez that you can go use. You have a day off tomorrow. There's no point in having Darvish go back out there. So was totally fine with that. And, with Darvish doing this, I know we can overreact to one start, but at least he showed here that he can still do that. And he wasn't doing it against the Colorado Rockies. He was doing it against an NL contending team. So very encouraging. I think, would this change the Padres approach and be like, all right, we're good. We don't need a starting pitcher. Let's go focus on everything else. I think if you're going to focus on some spot, yeah, it would be upgrading the offense. But I would love to have another starting pitcher into this mix. Because guess what? If that doesn't work out, they can go into the bullpen. I know Martin Perez wasn't used in the postseason the way that I feel like he could have been used in, what was that? That was the DS? I think it was the DS, where they just didn't use him. And then he ends up, not signing back in free agency. We all knew he wasn't going to after what happened. But something like that, you can make your bullpen better by having too many starting pitchers. That's not the end of the world. So we'll see what AJ does. I thought Marty Caswell posted a great picture on social media today of, before the game, Preller talking to Schilt down the first baseline, and Schilt was in shorts, a t-shirt, and he was barefoot. And I think he had a drink in his hand. And Preller, on the other hand, was dressed up, pants on. I think it was his normal basketball shoes. It's the thumbnail of this live stream. But let me go back and look at it. Yeah, pants, polo, Nike shoes on, and then you got Schilt on the other side with his water, a shirt, shorts, and just totally barefoot. One of those guys is relaxed. The other guy, maybe Preller's relaxed because this is his element. He loves this stuff. But this is a huge time, obviously, for him, and he's not going to sleep. Is he going to pull an all-nighter? I mean, I think he's definitely prepared to do it. Maybe he slept till 8 a.m., 9 a.m. when he usually sleeps till 5 a.m., but he slept later so that he could just go throughout the night. The East Coast, they're going to be up tomorrow. If it's 5 a.m. our time, it's already 8 o'clock. So he probably wants to be up at 5 a.m. when those East Coast GMs maybe get up. So who knows? That guy is just, as someone who loves baseball and as someone who is a hard worker, I love that my GM is that as well and obsesses over it. So I've got faith in AJ, and I'm just curious of what it's going to be. We've got guys coming off the board trade-wise. Yohan Duran just went to the Phillies, which sucks because that's obviously an NL team. Let me look at this trade deadline tracker. There are some interesting rumors that are out there, but don't know if they will actually happen. The Reds acquired third baseman Brian Hayes from the Pirates. The Mets acquired Tyler Rogers from the Giants, relief pitcher. Blue Jays acquired Sir Anthony Dominguez. I think that was days ago. Tigers acquired Chris Paddock and Randy Dobnak from the Twins. I think that was yesterday or the day before. Yankees got Ahmed Rosario. Mariners acquire Caleb Ferguson from the Pirates. Yankees acquire Austin Slater from the White Sox. Royals got Adam Frazier. Angels are buying for some reason. They acquire Andrew Chafin and Luis Garcia from the Nats. Brewers acquire catcher Danny Jansen. Braves acquire Eric Fetty from the Cardinals. Anything else of note? Braves acquire reliever Tyler Kinley from the Rockies. Braves acquire Carlos Carrasco from the Yankees. Braves acquire Dane Dunning from the Rangers. Some of these moves happened like well before today, but those are just some that are on this trade deadline tracker. Robert Suarez continues to be named. Dylan Cease continues to be named. So we shall see what ends up happening there. It feels to me that Dylan Cease is going to be traded. It's just a matter of how much can the Padres get from the team that they're trading Dylan Cease to. And I feel like they're just waiting on that. You know, there was, I think, and Kevin Acee in his Padres Daily, I think he put it pretty well. He said this morning, the Padres have always maintained a high price for Cease. Such a stance often changes in the final day or so before the deadline, which is 3 p.m. on Thursday. There is also the possibility Preller makes a move or moves no one has forecast, which he has done all the time in previous years. It is his aggressiveness and creativity that ownership is banking on, as they have determined they can't manage a big increase in a payroll that already ranks 9th in the major leagues. So that's where it's like the Marcell Ozuna stuff that was happening feels like 2 weeks ago, but maybe it was a week ago. I just don't see that happening. Not realistic. Jarren Duran, I don't think that that's going to happen, but there's still the possibility there, and he's not making a ton of money. So like that move financially would still make sense for the Padres, and they probably would be clearing some salary in that deal, I would think. But yeah, there are teams out there that definitely could use Dylan Cease, but do the Padres, are they shooting for the moon right now? And so other teams are just like, no, we're not doing that for possibly 2 months of Dylan Cease, and then he goes somewhere else. Nah, we're good. The inconsistency of him as well probably has hurt the Padres in potentially dealing him. So we shall see. For Cease, like the potential is there. If they don't trade him, it's going to be a weird feeling because there's definitely going to be some fans that are like, crap, we didn't trade him. This guy, we're going to have to pitch him because of the name. We're going to have to pitch him in these big postseason games. And then there's the other side where it's like, well, we didn't trade him. Well, maybe that's going to be a good thing because maybe he's like, all right, this team believes in me. This clubhouse believes in me. I'm going to get to work. And I've got free agency coming up. I haven't won a World Series before, obviously. And maybe you get a motivated Dylan Cease. And even if he's not motivated, maybe he's just going to execute better. Because all it takes is like a start where you find something and then you're able to hold on to that for, the rest of the year. That's what we're hoping. I know he got hit in the head his last start. It seems like things are going to be good there. Doesn't seem like there's a big issue there, so that's good. But yeah, there's not a lot of updates right now. It's pretty quiet, which means AJ's really going to work. There's not time to be leaking a bunch of stuff and maybe they'll do this, maybe they'll do that. No, it's just communicate with other teams and use other teams to get a better deal. Obviously, that's going on a bunch around baseball right now. So right now, as I'm sitting here live, we are, what would that be? 23 hours away from the trade deadline, 4 o'clock here. 3 p.m. tomorrow is the deadline. Just wait and see mode. Will it be a starting pitcher? Will it be a reliever? Yohan Duran would have been nice. But the Twins also, I see Carlos Correa's out there. I'm not saying that's Padres, but that's more Astros maybe, a reunion there. But I'm seeing the Twins, they are definitely selling off pieces and making big pieces available. I'm trying to find that Twins tweet. I think it was Griffin Jacks, Yohan Duran, and then one other reliever that they were making available. Obviously, they've already traded Chris Paddock. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Maybe I'll find it here. This was today. Dan Hayes covers the Twins. Twins post-game clubhouse was absolutely surreal as players tried to digest what happened in an awkward ninth inning. One player said everyone was shook. Angry about his removal, Griffin Jacks had a meeting with Rocco Baldelli for which Carlos Correa was present. Oh, I didn't know that. Griffin Jacks was pulled from the game last night. Last night or today? Whenever the Twins played. Was pulled, meaning that, let's get him out of the game. We're talking with other teams here. It felt as if many players wondered if Willie Castro had been traded based on him being removed in the top of the ninth inning. Baldelli said he simply wanted to give Castro a chance to be patted on the back publicly. Willie hasn't gone anywhere. Baldelli said. After 12 pitches and three. Oh, okay. He gave up 3 singles, and then Jacks was removed from that game. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But the Twins, they have quality arms that the Padres could totally use. And one of them's off the board now with Duran going to the Phillies. And again, it sucks that it's the Phillies. Why couldn't it be the Tigers or the Yankees, another team like that? Other names that have been connected to the Padres, I could run down that list and give you my confidence level and the possibility of that happening. I would say Ozuna, that's not happening. Jarren Duran, I don't think that's going to happen, but how desperate will the Padres be to better that offer to get Cease off the books, off the team, and get Duran in? What other players? I think Sandy Alcantara, right? He's been linked. I don't really have a great read on that one. I don't know. Edward Cabrera, I don't think that's happening, but Alcantara definitely could happen. And the Padres, I think, would have a solid shot at landing him in terms of what they could give the Marlins. The Marlins, they probably would want young pitching back to try to develop those guys, and those guys end up being cost controllable long term with the Marlins because that's what they do. They don't spend money. Padres have that in their system. Now, where is that? Are we talking about Boston Bateman? Are we talking about Braden Nett? Who are we talking about here? I think those could be appealing arms to the Marlins, to other teams. As for the catching position, I've totally blocked out adding a catcher as a possibility. It's just I don't see it happening. Elias Diaz, props to him too. Last couple of days, driving in runs, the walk-off obviously in this series, today as well. Big props to him. And he's going to be the starting catcher almost every day, the majority of the time, for sure. He has the more offensive upside than Martin Maldonado does. That's for sure. So, to me, it's just I don't see them acquiring a catcher the day of the deadline, the day before the deadline, after Diaz did what he just did this series. And the Padres pitching is going to be a huge reason why they go to the World Series if they do. And therefore, the catching will be a big reason. Controlling the game, having that relationship with the pitching staff. Can a new catcher come in and do it? Yeah. But it takes time. It's not just going to happen now. And the Padres now are in a wild card race. So how much can they afford with that? Will Luis Camposano be going somewhere? Is he appealing to another team that has something the Padres can add to round out this roster and be better? A smaller name that can help out with the bench depth, so we don't have Trenton Brooks up there being the main pinch hitter. There's a lot of questions here. I'm going to be checking social media here pretty frequently, so if there's any pauses, that's probably why. But yeah, let's go to the chat and see what y'all are thinking here. I can go through the games in this series, obviously against the Mets, but I feel like Padres fans right now were like, great, that's awesome. They swept the Mets, but now let's add. Who are we going to add? Devin says, we need bats. Nintendo Lion says, great win. Devin says, the team I would trade for hitters would be the Orioles. I'm on board bringing in Ramon Laureano, or I think it's Ryan O'Hearn. Yeah, I would be too. Laureano's got a rocket of an arm. Luis Robert, that's another guy. Yep, that's another guy where, although I don't think the White Sox are just going to give him away. So I don't see the Padres acquiring Luis Robert, but AJ surprised us before. That is good. Yes, Mike says Giants and D-backs have surrendered in the division. Those two teams have been selling off parts. So, I mean, they could, I guess, they could make some sort of addition after selling, but I don't really see them doing that. They could make a run at the wild card. Really, mainly the Giants. The D-backs are 9 back. I mean, the Giants are 6 back. Like, a lot would have to happen for them. They lost 6 games in a row. 2-8 in their last 10 right before the trade deadline. Yeah, not ideal. That's not what you want if you're trying to convince the front office to be like, yeah, add to this team. We're worth it. You know, bring in guys to help this team get to the postseason. Meanwhile, the Padres 6-4 in their last 10, have won 5 games in a row. They're playing good baseball at a pretty darn good time to signal like, yeah, let's add to this team. And what's been said is like the Padres, they totally could subtract to add, subtract some money, but with the deal, whoever they give up, they feel like whoever's coming in, or the money that then they could go add in a separate deal, that's going to make this team better than what they end up giving up on the major league side, which could mean Dylan Cease, could mean Robert Suarez, but I don't think that he's going to be traded. The big guy is Cease for sure. That's where the focus is going to be on which big league player could move on the Padres. I don't think Cronenworth will. That was tossed out there, I think, last week. Yes, the Astros are linked to Dylan Cease. That was put out yesterday in The Athletic from Ken Rosenthal and Chandler Rome. He covers, I believe, the Astros for The Athletic. They have an owner who likes to go for it and is used to winning and making the postseason. And the Astros, I totally could see them really wanting to go for it because of the league that they play in. I compare it to the NBA in the Eastern Conference and the Western Conference. The Padres play in the Western Conference. They don't play in the East. The Astros play in the Eastern Conference, if that makes sense to other NBA fans. So, you know, it's not great. Like, the NL is stacked. You look over at the AL, and not as much. You look at the NL, how many teams have over 60 wins? The Padres are one of them. They've got 6 teams. Padres, Mets, Cubs, Phillies, Dodgers, and the Brewers. How many teams have 60 wins in the AL? 3. None of the wildcard teams have 60 wins yet. Yankees are 58-49, Red Sox 59-51, Mariners 57-51. Astros are at 62 wins, Blue Jays are at 64, and the Tigers are at 64. So, I mean, the AL picture is so like muddied up that the Angels are like, yeah, we'll buy. We're under 500. We're 4 games back, but we're not impressed by these other wild card teams that we're seeing. Let's see what we can do. I don't know if that's the smartest thing by the Angels, but that's Artie Moreno for you. Another check. The Mets. That's not great news, but the Mets, they're finalizing a deal to acquire closer Ryan Helsley from the Cardinals. Like, imagine if the Padres can land another big bullpen. Imagine if they landed Durant. Imagine if they landed Helsley. Class A's off the board because of what happened with Cleveland and all that. But, I mean, That would be so awesome if they could add another one. And then you have Jeremiah Estrada as your 5th reliever. That's insane. Jen McCaffrey covers the Red Sox. With 24 hours until the deadline, the Padres are still pursuing Jarren Duran. That's a guy that I'd be stoked to have on a team. I know I want more power in this lineup. They could still do that. You could get another power bat. And then your outfield situation, to have an outfield of Duran, Merrill, and Tatis, I mean, holy cow. That's a pretty darn good defensive outfield. And that's talent that can do some damage and help you win a lot of baseball games offensively, too. And then you got Manny at third base. I mean, this guy's playing like an MVP candidate. And he goes on those stretches where he's the best hitter in the National League, or definitely one of them for sure. So he's been really, really fun to watch. The lean back home run that he had yesterday. By the way, that lean back home run, it is on a shirt now. Breaking T, shout out to them. Click the link in the description, and you will find, or go to my Twitter. I posted it there. Scroll down a little bit. Go to my Instagram story. You will see it. A Manny Machado shirt with the lean back on it. It is sick. And I can already tell this is going to be the most popular shirt that Breaking T has released this season of a Padres player. I'm getting a bunch of notifications of people clicking on that link and buying. So if you want that shirt as well, I definitely recommend that you check it out. I'll actually put the link in the chat right now to that shirt in case you want to go get it. I don't know if the link is going to work right out of the chat, but you could at least copy and paste it maybe to your browser or something. But here is that link. Just put it in the chat on YouTube. But yeah, Manny's on fire. He is on fire. Up to 302 average, 872 OPS. Now, the WAR numbers aren't like that great. Like the WAR numbers are much more friendlier to Fernando. But it's clear who the Padres' best hitter is right now. You want Gavin Sheets to get going. He was batting 8 today. They wanted that right-left stagger. Last 15 games, Manny's hitting 367. Last 7 games, he's hitting 533. His last 30 games, he's hitting 303 with a 538 slug. He's got 24 RBIs in his last 30 games. So that's pretty close to driving in a run a game there. We aren't getting Duran. I'm seeing a comment here. We aren't getting Duran unless we give up Leo DeVries, which it's a waste of effort. I mean, okay, then I'm not getting Duran then. Like, I don't know. I feel like Ethan Salas and Dylan Cease, if that actually was something that was proposed, I think that's a pretty darn good deal for the Red Sox. When they're trying to create playing time for their other younger players, Duran isn't quite having the year that he had last year with the All-Star season. You have the exclusive negotiating window to give Dylan Cease the money, and you could have the catcher of the future for the next decade for that Red Sox team. If everything works out, obviously. I'm not saying that's all it would take, but I know that they're going to get greedy and there's a deadline. So eventually they'll be less greedy. But right now they can still afford to be greedy and be like, no, we're not doing that unless you add this. They could say today, like, nope, we're not doing that unless you add Leo DeVries. Then they could wake up tomorrow and call AJ at 5 in the morning because it's 8 a.m. in Boston, let's say. And they could say, you know what, sleeping it over, we don't want DeVries, but we want Braden Net. We want this arm. We want this position player. Add that, and we can get this deal done. Or maybe they add in a third team that can help this out, So a lot can change. It's 4:15. We still got a lot of hours left, especially when these guys aren't going to be sleeping. We've got time left for deals to be made. Before getting back to the chat, I did want to go over just these 3 games because I didn't do like post game reactions just because of my schedule. But Padres, they won the first game 7-6. That was the walk-off game where Elias Diaz comes through not just with the game, the go-ahead hit to make it 6-5, but then the walk-off to make it 7-6. Robert Suarez did give up the home run to Ronnie Mauricio. That was a meatball. Bobby Meatballs, definitely for sure on that one. But like that's going to happen sometimes. And you just hope it doesn't happen in big games. But like I've said this before, I'm still confident in Robert Suarez. Last year, there were the rough patches. And then when it mattered the most in October, he came through and did his job. Jason Adam, I'm confident in. Jeremiah Estrada, I'm confident in. And Adrian Morejon, I'm confident in. Morejon, the dude's got a 1.66 ERA. It's nuts. It's crazy. It's awesome. That story, just him being the All-Star this year and the longest tenured Padre and all that, like it's great. As for the scoring in that game, now Nando made an amazing catch, robbing that home run. He also made a sliding catch too. Bogarts had an RBI single. Padres are down 5-1 in this game because there was the granny by Vientos. And Cease, it's not like all those were hard hit to get the bases loaded, so I do want to mention that. But results are results. How many runs did you give up? And it was not good enough. Not putting your team in the best spot to win. To have to overcome a 5-1 lead and you can't even get through 5 innings, like that's not Dylan Cease. And if that's who Dylan Cease is, then he's not going to be pitching in a wild card series. Starting a game, it would be Pivetta, King, and Darvish. Not saying in that order, but that's what it would be. Let's see. Too Much Morton's on Twitter. Great follow. Says, repeat after me. There is no one, available this trade deadline that is worth Leo effing DeVries. And I agree. I'm not giving up anyone. I'm not acquiring anyone to get a player. That player's just not going to be, he doesn't have the upside and the long term and how cost controlled DeVries will be in what will be the end of probably the window of these vets, right, in their primes. You want that guy to be making like nothing and be on this roster and really contributing and could be an all-star caliber player. I'm not trading Leo DeVries for Jarren Duran. I'm not trading Leo DeVries for, what other guy is out there that it's like, oh yeah, that's a Sandy Alcantara? Heck no. I'm not trading him for Edward Cabrera. Like, if we're being honest, Randy Vasquez has been pretty solid. Kolek has had his moments. Pivetta, all-star caliber. All-star caliber. Darvish today goes 7 shutout innings, and so it's in there. What am I missing? Michael King, one of the best top 10 starting pitcher in baseball when he's healthy. So you have those 3 guys, and then you have a 4th guy, could be a smaller name that's not Edward Cabrera or Sandy Alcantara. Or it could be an in-house option. You have those names, and if you lengthen out the bullpen, lessens the need, I feel like, definitely in the postseason, of having as many starting pitchers. You could have Randy go game 4 of a postseason series or whatever. And then if it doesn't go well, you have other options to use in essentially a bullpen game. So that's how I feel about that. I'm not giving up Leo DeVries. Ethan Salas, I would strongly think about it. But also, you would be selling low on his value because I don't think he's going to play the rest of the year. There's the back injury. He is a young catcher, though. Like, it's going to take time for him to develop. No doubt about that. As for, do I have yesterday's game up? Yesterday was Tuesday, right? Yeah. 7-1 win. Manny hit that home run late, which was the lean back. He is feeling it right now. You see him running around the bases. Oh, he felt good when he hit that in the 7th inning to make it 7-1. Diaz coming through with the double, scoring a couple of runs last night before that homer, made it 4-1. Merrill, the triple, that was so little league. Pounds the ball into the ground and it goes over Pete Alonso at first and goes down the line, so he gets a triple. I'm not complaining, and Merrill deserves it with some of the bad luck that he's had this year. But that was funny. I feel like that was like a postseason type hit, where sometimes you're not going to square it up. Sometimes you're going to nail it into the ground, into the right spot, and the defense can't do anything about it. Brian Bergert is another guy. 4 innings, 1 run, sub-3 ERA so far in the big leagues this year. Ron Marinaccio pitched in this game. Kind of forgot that he was in the bullpen. I remember every night because I do the bullpen chart and then I put it out in the morning. But yeah, Ron Marinaccio is a Padre. Other takeaways from this series, I think it's great that we're seeing someone like Elias Diaz contribute offensively. And like I said earlier, I don't see them acquiring a catcher. Manny on fire. I think Tatis is in a fine spot. Obviously, we saw the defense for sure. Yes, bad pitch, breaking ball, meatball, and Gavin Sheets hit it over the fence and capitalized. But the power is still there. He can still do damage. Gavin Sheets coming up in a big postseason spot as the 8 hitter in a lineup, like that might be scary for some opponents. Just saying. And then today, the 5-0 win, obviously. Darvish, by the way, did I mention this? Darvish now, the most wins. Hang on, let me confirm this, that it's exactly accurate. The most wins by a Japanese pitcher. Most combined wins for a Japanese-born pitcher in professional baseball. Obviously, NPB and Major League Baseball. Like, that's pretty cool. And to do it where it's not like he went 5 innings and gave up a couple of runs and, the offense scored runs for him, so he gets the win. No, he was dominant. 7 innings. 7 shutout innings. No walks. He's at 204 wins. Nomo is at 201. Kuroda at 203. Speaking of another one, Manny Machado, he has passed Joe DiMaggio on the all-time home runs list in Major League Baseball. I think that's pretty cool. DiMaggio did play in less games, I think, but it's not like a 200-game gap. And I would say this game's pretty harder. Pretty harder, is that a word? A phrase? It's definitely harder than when Joe DiMaggio was playing against, I don't want to say plumbers, because I feel like that's the go-to phrase for people back then, and I didn't watch baseball. I wasn't alive. I was negative however many years old. But yeah, what Manny has to deal with nowadays with the nastiness of these pitchers every at bat essentially, yeah, I'd say it's okay. We don't have to be like, oh well, Manny played in less games than DiMaggio. When did DiMaggio play? Who was he facing? How hard were they throwing? How many pitches? Did they have these pitch labs that they could go to? I know the velocity wasn't there. Did Joe DiMaggio have to deal with the marine layer of Petco Park? Albert with the super chat says unfinished business. Thank you for that. Yeah, unfinished business for the star players in this group. That's for sure. Um, this is the last year for the Padres to compete. I feel like people say that every year, and then they end up competing the next year. So, like Preller's, he's gonna find a way to make this roster compete next year too. When Cease is gone, maybe when Arise is gone, maybe when King's gone, he's still gonna add pieces and find a way to have this team compete. Padres should trade for Cal Raleigh. Okay, every team should trade for Cal Raleigh, and the Mariners would be stupid to give him up, didn't they? Isn't he under a huge extension? I'm not even going to look it up because I know that he's not going anywhere. He's the best catcher in the league. How are the Mariners doing, by the way? I should probably look at that. They're in the final wild card spot, 57 and 51. 57 and 51 in the NL would have you out of the playoffs. No, I agree, Mike. Learn from the last 5 years. You never have enough pitching. Add to the bullpen. You can never have enough. That's totally true. I remember like the first guest I had on this show, and this is before YouTube, and I had this layout and all that. I was just recording, I think, on my phone and uploading it. It was Jesse Agler that came on, and I want to. This was when Gore was still on the team, and there was talks about that. And he was like, "You can never have enough pitching." And I think he said it again when he came on the second. I think coming on. He's come on a couple times. And yeah, I still agree. Like years later, you could say that every single year about contending teams. You can never have enough because you don't know when someone's going to go down. Someone will go down at some point the rest of the season. It's going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to be a starter, but it could be a reliever, and that reliever could be very key to your success. And you don't want to have regrets that, oh, we were in talks with this team, but we were like, we have a good situation right now. We're good. And you didn't give up that double A prospect. I agree with this. Yeah. Preller has made abundantly clear Leo DeVries is untouchable. Doesn't seem like Salas is, though. Oh, I see Cal in the chat. It says Cal Raleigh has a 6-year deal and has a no trade clause. Well, there you go. It was already dumb, but even dumber now. All right, so now it's just sit and wait, really. 3:00 is the deadline tomorrow. I probably won't be available to go live at 3 p.m., but I will do a show, or at least a video, and then obviously upload it to the podcast platforms. I will do it at some point tomorrow night for sure, reacting to the moves the Padres make. And I say that with confidence because it's going to happen. They're not going to just sit here and not make any moves. I feel like Cease is going to get traded. I really do. Shout out the great partners of the show, by the way. I already talked about Breaking Tea and that Manny Machado lean back shirt. But also Gaglione and Bros, they've got famous cheesesteaks and garlic fries, the best Philly cheesesteaks in San Diego. Cheesesteak fries, garlic fries. Their full menu is at their Friars Road location, so make sure you check them out. And also, they're inside Snapdragon Stadium on the east side of the stadium. And then they are down the third baseline and in the upper deck. Section 124 is the location at Petco down the third baseline. They are there at Petco Park, those two locations. So check them out. Really, really good. Always love getting their food. And then SeatGeek, code Talking Friars. When you use that code, you will get $20 off your first order when you sign up with your email address. So maybe you want to see The Padres face off against the Cardinals this weekend with some new additions, hopefully. Go to SeatGeek, check it out. Should the Padres trade Luis Arraez? I just don't know the value that Luis Arraez would have to other teams. I think the Padres appreciate what Arraez brings. I don't think every team in baseball appreciates what Arraez can bring to your team because he hasn't been on your team, you know? But then you could also say, well, the Twins had him, and then they traded him. The Marlins had him, and they traded him. So really, how valuable is he? And I guess that's fair. But yeah, like for me, what is the one that's going to like weigh down the seesaw, if that makes sense? What's the bigger factor? Arraez and how he could help your team in like a big spot with runners on base and his contact ability. I think he's done pretty good at first base too, to be honest. Does that outweigh what you could get back for Arraez, who's a free agent at the end of the season? Like, I totally feel like what he can be in a Padres uniform would outweigh whatever you could get back for Arraez. And then you're filling that hole anyway. Because if Arraez goes, then are you having Crony play first? Are you having Sheets play first, and then you're acquiring a left fielder? Like, that could be a 3-team deal. Because, like, I'm thinking of the Red Sox. Why would they acquire Luis Arraez to be a free agent at the end of the year and then give you Jarren Duran to play left? You put Sheets at first, or you put Crony at first? Are you putting Iglesias at second base? I couldn't really give you names of like second baseman that you'd go acquire if you wanted Crony to be at first base. If you move Luis Arraez and you wanted Gavin Sheets to still be in left or be the main DH option. So there's just this bit. They're not moving Bogart to second. You're going to have Iglesias play second base every day. That weakens your bench. That weakens the versatility that he can bring in certain situations off of the bench, I feel like. So there's just a big chain link of questions, that come if you were to do that. I mean, I'm not even really thinking much about the questions. Those are just questions that came right off the top of my head. There's just a lot that would have to be solved there. So personally, I don't think they should trade Luis Arraez. Anthony Bender's a name that I'm seeing. Yep. Taylor Ward, Jonah Heim. I don't see Heim happening. Taylor Ward, it seems like the Angels are buying. So I don't see that happening. And then Anthony Bender, to be quite honest, I'm not going to act like I know a ton about Anthony Bender. Who is he? Is he a Marlin right now? Who is he playing for? Yeah, Marlins. Sub-2 ERA. So this would be like a Tanner Scott again. I know he's a right-handed pitcher, but sub-2 ERA, 45 games, 35 punch-outs in 44 and a third innings. Let me look at his game logs. So, I mean, this reminds me of Morahone and his game logs. Bender has not allowed a run since June 19th, where he allowed one run, and it was a home run. So, and this is entering today. That is 14 consecutive scoreless outings. That's not just going to be the Padres that are interested in him, by the way. So, yeah, we'll see. I did see the Guardians. They are trying to move Stephen Kwan. Like, that's another name. I'm not as big on Stephen Kwan as I would be on Duran, even though Kwan was an all-star this year. And I can't really, like, explain it with numbers. For me, it's just, I don't know, mentality-wise, gut feeling. Kwan would be under team control until 2029. Kwan is more pop, plays Gold Glove defense, way younger, steals bases, under control until 2029. Let me look up his numbers. 286 average, 110 OPS plus, 761 OPS. Okay, but would you have to give up more for Kwan or more for Durant? He's making a little over $4 million this year. I'm not seeing what you're seeing there about the contract until 2029. It says he's a free agent after 2027. So you would have him under control for 2 more years after this year. That's what I'm seeing. More for Duran. Let's see what his contract is. You'd have him for another year, 26, 27, and 28. And this year, obviously. And his contract would fit in better next year with the money that they're taking in, because there will be money that will be off the books. And this year it fits, like he's not making much money, and it would be prorated because you're not having him the whole year. So you're not paying him over $3 million. You'd be paying him less than half that. You'd be paying him less than $2 million. Yeah, Rooker just got extended. Yeah, Rooker's not coming to the Padres. David Bednar is another name. I saw Buster Only just tweet about him. That's another name that's on the board. The best reliever is still on the board. Orioles. This is from Buster. Orioles still have a lot of players to move or not. Ryan O'Hearn, Charlie Morton, Cedric Mullins, Andrew Kittredge. Maybe that they hang on to Ramon Laureano, given the $6.5 million team option for 2026 that they hold. Maybe they do go after Ryan O'Hearn, someone like that would cost less to get them than Jarren Duran. Let me see what his contract is. Ryan O'Hearn. Club. No. Free agent after this season. Okay. And they'd be picking up, we're over halfway through, so less than $4 million because he was $8 million this year. And would this guy give you power? I think he would. 12 home runs, 283 average, 830 OPS, 133 OPS plus. What is he doing recently, though? So in July, he has a 740 OPS, 1 home run, 11 ribbies. So definitely could drive you in runs. Could play first base, play the corner outfield as well. I could see that. All right. I think that's going to do it. Just sitting here and waiting. Well, if moves are made today, I'll probably go live or at least make a video, put it up on the podcast platforms. But yeah, appreciate everyone's time. Padres, they sweep the Mets, which was great because not only is that great for them, obviously wins you can't take away, but just confirming like, yeah, go add to this team. This is a quality team that they just swept. Fans selling out the ballpark, doesn't matter day of the week. Like, go make this team better. I have no doubt that AJ will. Just a matter of how many guys and who.